1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
open. In accordance with Clause 5.37 of Council's Code of Meeting Practice, I'd like to inform the persons attending this meeting that A, the meeting is being recorded, live streamed, and made publicly available on Council's website, and B, persons attending the meeting should refrain from making any defamatory statements in relation to Clause 4.3. The provisions of this code require the live streaming meetings also apply to public forums. To start today's proceedings, I would like to welcome Ms. Millie Burnetta, the Manager of Civic and Executive Services, who will read the prayer of council and the affirmation, followed by the national anthem. Could I ask everyone to please stand?
Good evening, everybody. Before we begin, I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land which we meet today and their ancestors past and present, the Cabral clan of the Darug Nation. I also acknowledge that this land was accessed by peoples of the Darawal and Darug Nations. Prayer of Council. For our good of our faith. We are gathered here at Liverpool City Council and we pray for the good of our city and our government. We pray for the well-being of all Liverpool's residents, no matter what their race, gender or creed. Tonight we pray for sound decision-making by council which can improve the quality of life for all in our city. Today I also acknowledge that it's Ash Wednesday, and I also acknowledge that tomorrow will mark our first day of Ramadan, both very important days for our community. As we enter our holy month, we pray for all our community, our nation's future, our elected officials, staff and all the people in Liverpool. Amen.
Thank you, everyone. Please be seated. There are no apologies. Are there any declarations of interest? No. Then the agenda tonight, we have two separate rescission motions. Nom R01. We'll deal with them separately. Then should the rescission motion be passed, then we will deal with the alternate resolutions. So the first one is NOMOR 01, page 5. Do we have a mover for the rescission motion?
Yes, I'll move that.
Move Councillor Monahan, seconded. Councillor Carneeb. Any discussion?
I just have a question.
Yeah, just before you do that, Councillor Monahan, would you like to speak for your motion?
I'm happy for the questions to go first.
Yep, Councillor McNaught.
I just would, can you bring the screen down, please? Because if we're just voting on a rescission motion, point 2 should not be part of simple rescission motion. So I just want to be very clear what we're voting on before we start.
Yeah, that's correct. So if we can please remove the point two, because point two will then form the motion, should the rescission motion. Thank you, Councillor McNaught. Yep. Councillor Monahan?
If there are no other questions, I'm happy to
Did you
have
want-
my 5 minutes if the...
Yep. Any, yep, go for it. You have.
Thank you. It's relatively straightforward. I think the discussion was had at the last ordinary council meeting of last year. I think tonight was a very good demonstration. If the last ordinary council meeting wasn't already a good enough demonstration, I made it here at, I think, about 5:57 this evening, having tried to leave my professional commitments as soon as possible. On the first ordinary meeting of this year, I had a number of fresh custodies at Burwood and wasn't able to get back to Liverpool until about 5:15, 5:20. Even if I did my best to get here as quickly as possible, at best I'd have made maybe 7 minutes of the meeting. Notwithstanding the suggestion that was made after I left the last ordinary meeting of last year, that we simply turn up at 6 o'clock, and really the only things that council would get through were the formalities, and that there'd be ample time to still provide a contribution. That clearly wasn't the case. It's also, I think, having had the time to think about it, I think other councillors here who have professional commitments, their professional commitments seem to be taken into account in a manner that mine certainly don't. Governance meetings are held during the day on a Tuesday. Councillor McNaught gave evidence at the public inquiry that Tuesday is the only day of the week that she's able to relieve herself of her professional duties, and it would seem that councillors are taking her professional duties into account, which is only a right and proper and appropriate thing to do. It's unfortunate that a similar level of courtesy or understanding isn't able to be extended to other councillors. The thought did cross my mind, maybe if I took out a ticket of the Liberal Party and joined the Liberal Party's branch here in Liverpool, that a 6 o'clock meeting start might be on the cards. But I don't think I'd do that just to be able to get to council at 6 o'clock. Council's met at 6 o'clock for decades. Liverpool's probably one of the only, if not the only, council in metropolitan Sydney that meets prior or commences their meeting prior to 6 o'clock, noting that many councillors across the state also have other professional commitments. It's disappointing, as I said, that the same level of regard for at least one other councillor's professional commitments here isn't one that's extended universally, and it does, I think, make a mockery of efforts of people to be constructive or collaborative or provide notice ahead of time about things that might be on the agenda or possible courses that council might take, which is, again, something that the Mayor, you expressed in your evidence of the public inquiry, which is seemingly contradicted by your actions on council. It's very clear that at least 4 people can't make it, 4 councillors, democratically elected councillors can't make it for a 4 o'clock start. It is anti-democratic. I don't resile away from those comments that I made at the last council meeting that I was present at. And for that reason, this rescission motion ought to be supported.
Thank you, Councillor Monahan. Are there any other speakers for or against? Councillor Carneeb?
Yes. Who's Chair for the rescission motion? Look, I'll briefly talk about my experiences at the last council meeting that I couldn't attend. That was the meeting on the 4th of February. And I tried to get here. My day started at Port Kembla and then at Wollongong Court, and it ended at Burwood at a fresh custody at 3 p.m. The magistrate concluded those proceedings just after 4, and I arrived in my car park at Liverpool at 5:24. When I checked, it was a little bit later than Councillor Monahan. The meeting had concluded. I had the intention of coming like I did today. The irony is today I was one of the movers for this particular item to be on the agenda at 6 p.m. Similarly today, I started my day off at Liverpool and I was at Wollongong at 11. For whatever reason, my matter was the last matter to be dealt with. Court closes at 4:30, that's when they stop sitting. My matter didn't conclude today till 4:40, and if the magistrate stood and handed down judgment, I wouldn't have made it here at 6 p.m. I would have had to wait and take judgment because that's just what my role entails. Luckily, it was adjourned till tomorrow at 3 o'clock for judgment in those proceedings. Today I arrived in a different lift to Councillor Monahan and got here at 5:58. And I did my best to get here early today because I thought if we got here early, maybe there can be some sort of resolution rather than continue this course. Because the fact of the matter is, meetings at 4 p.m. are just impractical, not just for working councillors like us, but also working residents. If one of us councillors were a teacher or an assistant principal or a surgeon, it would never be my practice to expect that they would finish their course of duty, whatever that may be, any form of professional obligations, to get here at 4 o'clock when they could get here at 6 o'clock. Now, let it be clear, and I know it was ventilated at the last council meeting, that people want to get home earlier than 11 o'clock. I'm all for that. I've early starts and long days. I don't love being here till 11 p.m. at council meetings. But there's things that can be done for meetings to finish earlier. But there's also things that can be done to have councillors and all councillors present. For example, the secondary item at this meeting today is the voting of C.T. Lewis. Now, because I wasn't able to get here on the last occasion, being the 4th of February, a full cohort of councillors weren't present to vote on the issue. What happened was that 6 councillors were out of an 11 council body. The community should be able to expect that when decisions are made, whether they're as minor as what they may be or can be, or as significant as the sale of a community asset, that the full body of elected representatives are able and be here to vote on the issue. That's what the community expects. We want to talk about fairness, let us be here. We earned a seat at the table, let us sit here. Let's not talk about collaboration and talk about wanting to work together. You've got to walk the talk. You want to collaborate with councillors and move past this? Well, this is where it starts. The disappointing aspect of how this went down was that no notice was given of this to any councillors. It was brought on as an amendment to the recommended council position presented by staff at the last ordinary meeting in December. Now, the position is there's a resolution in the form of a rescission before council today. And I really ask councillors to consider what's fair. What we're asking to do is to be in a position to be here. Nothing more, nothing less. The residents too, they want to be here. Nothing more, nothing less. You want the meetings to finish early, whether it be 9, 9:30, 10 o'clock, I'm all ears. There's some, and I'll finish on this, there's some training or some things that councillors have to attend that have been compulsorily embedded in our diary over the course of the next month on Saturdays. They're put in because they're compulsory, because all of us are required to attend. So council staff have factored in that we need to be there and all of us need to be there. So it's based on everyone's availability. I'll just be a few more seconds if the chair permits.
Go for it, councillor.
Similar to that, council staff, the council body, want councillors present at things, whether it's training, whether it's team bonding, whatever it may be that's been put in our diary for the next month. They're on Saturdays. They're listed all day for councillors all to be able to attend. Council meetings are as important, if not more important, because where decisions get made for the full cohort of the community, and the community expects that the full cohort of elected representatives are present. It's for that basis that I bring forward this motion with Councillor Monaghan and Councillor Ibrahim, but I really urge councillors to consider that there's other options than a 4 p.m. start.
Thank you. Are there any of the speakers for or against? No. Councillor Monaghan, would you like your right of reply?
No, I think everything's been said.
Thank you. Okay, we'll now move the rescission motion first, and then should the rescission motion pass, then we will deal with an alternate motion. So all those in favour of the rescission motion, please raise your hands. Against? I declare it carried. Councillor Monaghan, do you intend to move an alternate motion now? Yep. The motion that you gave notice of?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, great. Do you have a seconder?
I'll second the motion.
Seconded, Councillor Carneeb. Would you like to speak for your motion?
I don't think I need to speak for it. No, it would have been the same comments that I've made on previous occasions of a similar matter.
Are there any other speakers?
I'd like to move an amendment.
Yes, Councillor Hart, what's your amendment?
Look it up on the screen.
Well, is there a seconder for Councillor Hart's motion? Seconded, Councillor AJ. Amendment, sorry. Yep, that's fine.
Just for your reference, the changes are for the meetings to start at 5 p.m. and public forum to start at 4:30 p.m.
We can make it much bigger on the screen in the short term if you like. If that helps you, Councillor Monaghan. While that's being printed, Councillor Hart, would you like to speak for your amendment?
Sure. Collaboration comes with compromise, and we've heard, and I understand I work full-time as well. We've heard the case for 6 p.m. We've heard the case previously for 4 p.m. Oh, it won't be 5 minutes. And it's clear there's quite a division within the council. So I hope this motion of starting at 5 p.m. is a medium that would be amenable to everyone. Might not keep everyone happy, but usually compromises, not everyone's happy. Starting the public forum at 4:30 doesn't require all the councillors to be present, given they have to be, it's now separate from the council meeting. And as I've said before, I've had to make sacrifices as well as working full time, and this is a sacrifice that I'm willing to make.
Any other speakers for or against the amendment? Councillor AJ, then I'll go to Councillor Carney next.
Yeah, I'm speaking for, and just to thank both councillors for their concern about their work requirements and also being in serving the community. Public office job is tough. You know, we all have a lot of commitments. Working as a pastor, working with NGOs. Sometimes I'm in North Sydney, but we all have to sacrifice to get here on time. So I believe that if both councillors, it will be okay, because leaving here very late, it doesn't help those of us who have to also have a young family to look after. So if we can start at 5 p.m., I did the inquiry that if councillors are late to meetings, it's permitted. So we don't have to be here on time. We're not marking any register. So if you miss a few items or agenda, I think it will be okay. So 5 o'clock and finish by 10. It will help all of us. It will help the staff to spend 1 hour to pack up, and they will leave here 11, and they can get home to their family on time. So I will urge all the councillors to agree on this point, that we all sacrifice to start at 5 p.m. Thank you.
Councillor Carney.
Yeah, similarly, I'm going to speak against this amendment. But then what I'm going to ask is for some time to consider this properly, because obviously it was just provided to us now. When I speak against it, and I just want to be clear, I'm not speaking against it because I don't want to start earlier and finish earlier. I speak against it because I simply cannot. I simply cannot. And I look at every councillor when I say this, because that's just the fundamental issue with this. I just delivered comments in respect for it starting at 6 and why. For example, if the public forums were to start at 5:30 and the meetings to start at 6, I'd appreciate that. But I don't think it's appropriate to basically say to the community, hey, look guys, some of your councillors can't get here, but that's okay if they're late. That's okay if they're late. We'll proceed without them. When they get here, they can fill in the gaps. That's not the test, nor is that the expectation. FAIR isn't saying that 5 o'clock is a middle ground. This isn't a negotiation at the local car dealership where someone's selling their car for 10,000, you've got 8 and you meet in the middle at 9. That's not what this is. I'm happy to be collaborative. I'm happy to be contacted and spoken to about motions and get the support of other councillors and other councillors to speak to me before council meetings and say, look, I've got a fantastic idea. But this isn't it. This is, and I'm speaking for myself here, this is shutting me out and this is shutting the community out. That's what this is. Some people work 9 to 5 jobs. Other people work in other professions. Some people can finish work early, others cannot. You can't discriminate against people because of their work commitments. It's unfair. It's not the expectation we want to set for the council staff. It's not the expectation we want to set to the community. We're arguing at this point over an hour. Like I said earlier, if I could get here, I could get here. I'm not asking other councillors to cut their work commitments in the evenings or cut their work commitments in the day or cut their work commitments on a Saturday. I'm not being unfair about that. It's 1 meeting a month. Now, this amendment doesn't canvass an end time, which is why I'd be asking when I finish speaking against the amendment, just for a short. Where does it say? It says at 10 p.m. There it is. It's in yellow. And 10 p.m. So it's still at a 5-hour interval. There's nothing, for example, stopping the meeting starting at 5:30 for the public forum and ending at 10 p.m. The meetings hopefully shouldn't go the full distance. If there's a cap on speakers, 5 minutes for, 5 minutes against, times 2, we'll finish. Where the issue lies is that sometimes the debate goes for an hour and a half over one item that doesn't need it. That's happened at meetings time and time again. That's got to be reined in. Now, if that's reined in, we won't have an issue. Now, Mayor, through the Chair, can I have an opportunity to consider this?
Yes, but what are you referring to? You'd like a recess called, is what you're asking for? Well, the debate is still going, and it would be not an ordinary thing to stop the matter in the middle of a debate while the arguments are being heard for and against.
With respect, that happened last time. You called a recess during the debate. You did. Now, what I'm doing is I want to suggest a recess so we can discuss this, perhaps reach an agreement. That's what I'm asking for, but if you can do that at the close of the debate, that's fine. But you did interject last time and call a recess when there was a debate.
There were different circumstances, and I guess this is when the discussion happens in public and open and transparent fashion. Have you concluded your time?
I have, yes.
Are there any other speakers for or against the amendment?
I've just got some questions through the CEO. Now, with these changes, has there been any consultation with councillors prior to this change going ahead? Just need to know yes or no. If there hasn't been, why not?
Thanks. Through the Chair. It's a rescission motion based on a resolution.
Question. Originally, when it was changed and when it was put to the floor, something like this would require councillors to be consulted and sat down, especially since it's such a major change. It would have been good to not only get the councillors' input, but also the community input. Have either of those people been given feedback to comment on these changes?
Thank you. Through the Chair, not to my knowledge, I found out the same time you did.
Now, under the Local Government Act, there's a requirement to encourage community participation in local government. By changing the meeting times to 4 p.m, which is pretty much standard working hours, making it difficult for residents, do you think we're complying with that requirement?
Thank you. Through the Chair, can't answer the question because you've given no context of what part of the Local Government Act you refer to. If you're talking generically about whether council should engage the community, I think that's a standard theme across the Local Government Act, but without context, I can't answer the question.
Has council obtained any legal advice whether this decision undermines procedural fairness or limits public access to democratic processes?
Thank you. Through the Chair, no.
And has council considered the fact by changing the meeting times to 4 p.m, it reduces public attendance, therefore risking undermining public confidence in the governance of council? Has that been considered?
It's a matter for council, voted on by resolution, and I'm in charge of managing the resolution if it is not rescinded.
That's it from me.
Thank you, Councillor CFC. I can provide just some background and maybe some relevant answers to your question. So a survey was done with the community when the meetings changed were initially to 2 p.m. that was done in June 2022, with the duration being set for a maximum of 5 hours. The results of that were, which I think was in the report originally as well, there were 14, I think it was, there were 14 responses from the council staff. Of those, 12 of them supported a 2 p.m. start. 12, yeah, and 2 of them supported a 6 p.m. start. An external survey, which went out to the community, there were 100 responses. 91 people supported the 2 p.m. start, and 9 supported the 6 p.m. start. So in that situation, there was 114 responses. 90% of the community and staff preferred the start time at 2 p.m. And that was provided to a report to councillors.
Just in relation to that, if I can ask the chair a question. So if we went to that length to do a survey for that, why didn't we do it for this?
From my understanding, there was community exhibition that was done, and I think the code of meeting practice now is different, where it says that it's no longer part of the code of meeting practice, where now it's which actually stipulates the time and the days. It's now a resolution of council. Councillor Moon?
I believe the same steps didn't take place when they changed the time back to 6 o'clock, so the community wasn't consulted either. So I understand.
Right. Do we have any speakers for or against?
Yes, against.
Yes, Councillor Monahan.
I think the analogy to a used car salesperson is a good one. We can't barter time. You can exchange money, you can exchange goods, you can meet halfway, but not with time. And we're quibbling here over 60 minutes. It's physically impossible to get here at 5 o'clock. Just as impossible as it is at 4 o'clock. It's simply not possible. A feasible alternative, if we're going to stagger, or if it's proposed to stagger council meetings and separate out the public forum, a 6 o'clock start with the public forum to start at 4:30. Consideration could be given to the length of council meetings. That would necessarily involve a change to the code of conduct, the code of meeting practice rather. That's not impossible. That can be done. It's a change, simple change. The code can then be put out on public exhibition for the community to have their say and then return to council. It ensures that everyone can be there at 6 o'clock so that everyone can fully participate in council meetings rather than the suggestion that we simply miss a couple of items and turn up late. Essentially, just, do part of your job, it's good enough. If you can't get to the meeting earlier, do some of it and it's all right. We'll try not to do the important things without you. Again, governance meetings, they occur on a Tuesday when to suit Councillor McNaught's professional commitments. I don't see why a council meeting can't start at 6 o'clock to meet other councillors' professional obligations. Some might characterise it as a double standard. Some might characterise it as unfair. Some might characterise it as partial. Some might even characterise it as politically motivated. I'm sure those aren't the real reasons. But nonetheless, that's the position we're in, and it's 60 minutes to ensure that a full council is present and that everyone can comply with their obligations fully and not have to choose between maintaining their employment and attending a council meeting. It's only a fair request. And I know it's difficult for people with young families. I've got a young family myself. It's hard getting home at 11:30, 12 o'clock at night. But you know what? That's a sacrifice that I make. It's a sacrifice, unfortunately, that my partner makes. And she has to stay at home with our child after she's been at home all day with our child. So yes, sacrifices have to be made. I make those sacrifices. I'm simply asking for 60 minutes. I'm simply asking that for 1 hour, that maybe my professional obligations, Councillor Ibrahim's professional obligations, Councillor Carnib's professional obligations, I'm not sure about Councillor Rostevsky, but probably the same, and Councillor Hart's professional obligations are taken into account in the same way as Councillor McNaught's are, which is a fair and proper and appropriate thing to do, so that councillors who wish to engage as fully and to the best of their ability are permitted the opportunity to do so and aren't shut out of the process, aren't shut out.
Thank you. Councillor Monahan, you're...
Of contributing. If I could have maybe 5 more seconds with your leave.
Go for it.
It's not much of an ask. 60 minutes just to make a council meeting.
Through the chair, I've just got a question for the mover and the seconder.
Yes.
Of the amendment. I note that the meetings cannot exceed 5 hours, but this proposal has it commencing at 5, ending at 10, but with the public forum starting at 4:30, the public forum being part of the council meeting. But in theory, just as a thought before I consider the position, why can't it be on the current terms as what's appropriate and sought by Councillor Hart and Councillor AJ, that the public forum starts at 5 to 5:30 and the meeting starts at 5:30, for example, still finishes within the scope of 10, because at the moment it was 6, well, not at the moment, but it was 6 to 11 with the public forum. Is that something that the mover, and I'm not saying I'm just asking if they would consider something like that, or even the public forum at 5:30 and the meeting at 6, but will they consider something that is different to what it's currently set? Because at the moment you're having the public forum 30 minutes before the 5-hour deadline, and remember, we don't want to be here for a full 5 hours. This is really just creating 5.5 hours.
So just to clarify, Councillor Carney, with the changes that the Office of Law Government made, the public forum doesn't count as part of the meeting, so it's actually not part of the meeting, hence doesn't count towards the 5 hours. But
yeah, through the chair, and that's fine, right? But we were having 5-hour meetings with very dense agenda items going, sometimes the items going for about an hour and a half. What I'm saying is, if you stick to the 5 hours and it ends at 10, there's no reason why you can't start at 5 with the meeting starting at 5:30, or for example 5:30 and then the meeting starting at 6.
so on that note, once again, are you asking Councillor Hart whether he'd be happy with effectively adjusting that by 30 minutes?
I'm asking, well, look, I conveyed very honest details about my diary today and on the 4th of February. Genuine accounts of my day. You can order transcripts from the local courts and it'll dictate exactly what I said. Now, I've made my position clear. This is my employment. It's how I feed my family. It's how I paid my mortgage. The position is, I got here at 5:58 today. So I would appreciate the courtesy of councillors, all councillors, that a forum start at 5:30 and the meeting start at 6.
Okay.
I've made that clear in December and I'll make it clear again today. I'm not wavering from that. I'm just asking if the mover and seconder would be amenable in amending theirs to either a 5 or a 5:30 or a 5:30 and a 6.
Yeah. So I guess what you're saying, once again, that's what I'm just clarify. So you're asking whether the 5 o'clock for the public forum, basically moving it half an hour.
Yeah.
Yes.
Whether the mover and seconder are content with the forum starting at 5 and then the meeting starting at 5:30.
Okay, yep,
And vice versa, the forum starting at 5:30 and the meeting starting at 6. Would they be amenable to either of those?
Ask Councillor Hart.
The 5 and 5:30 situation potentially, but another thing that we can also consider is if public forum was to start at 5 p.m. and then the meeting starts immediately after the public forum, so there wouldn't necessarily be a set time for the start of the meeting.
Yeah, I think, look, just my personal view on that, I know we did it last time, but I think it's much clearer that we have a clear start of the meeting versus depending on how many speakers there are. I think that's procedurally a better thing for me to chair the meeting. I would prefer that, even though we didn't do that necessarily last time.
And you'd have the same issue if public forum went for in excess of 30 minutes. Theoretically, if you set prescribed time for the start of the meeting.
Correct. But I think that could be dealt with once we do have flexibility to start the meeting a little bit later. But it's at least people are aware what would be going on.
I'm happy to consider public forum 5 p.m. Meeting start 5:30.
Councillor AJ, you happy as a second? Are you happy with that?
Can we have a recess, or we're still debating?
Still debating, but that's on the issue. If you're going to make an adjustment to the time that of finishing past 10 p.m., then that is a change to the code of meeting practice, which has to go on exhibition.
Okay.
Just so aware of that. So you'd have to make it. You'd have to be, instead of 10, it would be 10:30 p.m. But there's an incentive for everyone that should councillors discuss matters beforehand and communicate with each other, then meetings don't have to go that long. I think this is Councillor Monaghan's point of view as well. And not too dissimilar to my email when calling this meeting, that I'm happy to speak to any councillor and regarding... What? No, I said if anybody wants to call me, that they could give me... Pardon? I did write it late, so I could be wrong, but I'll double check.
Similarly, though, there was an amendment and that could have been passed around earlier.
Yeah.
Similarly.
So, Councillor AJ, are you happy with that?
Okay, it's just half an hour. I think, I hope that we don't argue extensively and then people start yelling. I'll just stick by it to this time, and we'll see what happened during our meeting times. Thank you.
So I'll take that as a yes. Councillor Moon, you've had your microphone on. Okay. So is there any other discussion, or Councillor Hart, would you like your right of reply?
Your email said, on another note, I'm happy to meet to discuss any matter before the meeting with any councillor.
Okay.
That's my right of reply.
All right, thank you. All right, councillors, we have the...
Just one more question. Does that include me?
Yes, every councillor. All right. Well, I'll now put the amendment as moved by Councillor Hart. All those in favour, please raise your hands.
Through the Chair, I just want, like Councillor AJ said, and I'd say I'd appreciate a 5-minute recess. I raised it with you earlier. You said at the end of the debate, it's 5 minutes.
Sorry, Councillor, I don't agree with it. We'd like to move on. Like it's a pretty straightforward thing.
It's 5 minutes. I'm asking for an opportunity to visit my diary, just to look at it. Just 5 minutes. It's 5 minutes. It's clear we had some good discussion today. Just an opportunity to be heard.
Okay, great. But at the moment we've called the amendment. The amendment is there. The right of reply has happened. We're going to vote on the amendment now. Right. So let's vote on the amendment.
But just I raised it through the chair, respectfully, I raised it with you earlier. Councillor AJ did earlier too. You asked him to finish the conversation about the debate. Now I want time to consider it. You can appreciate it's a concern. Now I'm asking you. You didn't give me the notice beforehand. It brought up on the floor. Give me 5 minutes to peruse my professional diary. 5 minutes. If 5 minutes is too long, give me 2 minutes.
Right.
2 minutes.
No worries, Councillor. I'll give you 2 minutes. So we'll resume back at 6:49 p.m. Thank you, councillors. I now declare the meeting resumed. I'll now put the amendment. All those in favour, please raise your hands. Against? I declare it carried. The amendment becomes the motion. I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please raise your hands. Against? I declare the motion carried. Next item is NOM R02 on page 9 of the booklet. Rescission motion. Do we have a mover?
Yes, happy to move it.
Moved Councillor Monahan, seconded.
Happy to second it.
Seconded Councillor Carnegie. Councillor Monahan, would you like to speak for your motion?
Fine. I know you need to hold on to it when you've got the call. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to be present for the original vote on the item. I would have voted against it, which is, self-explanatory given the fact that I was one of the 3 councillors to move a rescission motion to rescind the sale of a public asset. It's a position and an idea, generally, that I fundamentally disagree with. The disposal and the sale of a public asset that, whilst It's not much at the moment to look at, but it's one that has been allowed to fall into a significant state of disrepair. And it's the general proposition that I have a fundamental disagreement with, that we should be selling it, given that there are a range of options that this council resolved to direct the operational arm of council to investigate as to other uses of it. I'm sure that there would be a number of the directorates who might wish to take carriage essentially of the asset and try and revitalise it and do something with it. Notwithstanding the fact that there is already a facility across the road, I don't think that that's a reason to simply deny the community another asset. And another valuable place for people to meet, as the Phillips Park has been. It only adds to the community's value what we can, or what council can, do with that asset, notwithstanding, of course, the significant state of disrepair that it's in. I think it sets an unfortunate and dangerous precedent that assets that are permitted to be run down, permitted to fall into such a significant state of disrepair, are then simply put on the chopping block, because it's the easier thing to do rather than attempting to reuse that asset. I don't need the full 5 minutes. Those are my remarks.
Thank you. Are there any other speakers for or against the rescission motion?
I've got a question first through the chair. Can anyone answer how council came to be in possession of this property?
Refer that to the CEO.
Thank you. Through the chair, my understanding is that it was some sort of gift. I don't know if it was donated, but from a person called Lewis, okay, or named after a person called Lewis, and it came into council hands sometime circa 1973. I did see something on social media as to that extent. If I had more time, I would have searched C2 Lewis and given you a more certain answer. But in the end, it's been a council asset for what's that, 50 odd years.
Any other speakers for or against?
Just a few questions, but oh, you go.
Just through the chair.
What's
Just want to know, how long has the asset been vacant for?
Yeah, just before, I'll have to get to the councillor. I was going to go to Councillor Restevsky.
Actually, my mic was on before Councillor Carney, and he turned me off.
That's all right. Councillor Restevsky.
The question by Councillor Carney is a good one, and in fact I actually wrote to Council in December for an answer, and here we are in February still waiting for an answer, and it's outside the 30-day period to resolve questions from councillors. Now, considering we don't know this through the CEO, I think it would make more sense to defer this until we know exactly how we possessed it, because if it was a gift by Mr. Lewis, he'd be rolling in his grave right now, knowing that we're selling his gift. We should at least have the common decency to notify his family of the intentions and whatnot. this is absolutely morally wrong. It repulses me that we're doing this. Honestly, this is absolutely repulsive. And if I was a family, I would be repulsed at what we are doing right now. So consider that.
Councillor Moon.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, how long was this asset vacant for?
Yes, thank you. Through the chair. So on pages 6, 7, 8 of the papers before council, there's a comprehensive timeline in relation to the history of CT Lewis from its building right through until November 2025, when the latest updated valuation. It's been in a state of disrepair many, many times and vacant for many years. I note that there were other attempts in 2020 via Comp 7 on the 29th of April to sell the property. And it is true that the project, the asset has deteriorated to a point where the commercial decision is an imperative if one thinks about value for money for ratepayers. Two things I should mention in relation to amenity is Phillips Park, but also where the funds go. The funds go into a property reserve. The property reserve is mandated in council to go into the exact problem statement that CT Lewis fell into. That is to make sure that other assets are updated and maintained. The idea that the sale of the property is to prop up a budgetary position is only in extent to the fact that the money has to be spent from somewhere. But the property reserve is exactly designed for that purpose. And from a less emotional but more commercial and value money proposition for council, that's why the paper was put up.
So we're not selling the asset to pay the credit card, is that correct? Just to clarify.
The sale of the funds will go into the property reserve. The property reserve was written by the esteemed Mr. Portelli when he was the CEO, and it talks about what the property reserve can only be used for. It can only be used to remediate, replenish, renew existing assets so we don't fall into the same trap that happened to CT Lewis. And in fact, only today we had discussions about should the motion proceed, where we may be able to spend, a la School of Arts, top floor, where we can spend some real value money to replenish assets that if they don't get repaired, will find themselves ultimately in the same position as CT Lewis.
Any other?
Yes, I've got a couple of questions. So we talk about a property reserve. However, we also have a budget deficit. Are you telling me that this sale would not be used? Fair enough, the funds will be put into a different pool, but the actual sale, from an accounting perspective, will be used to reduce the deficit. I need clarification on that.
Thank you, Future. I can provide clarification on that. Yes, of course, it affects the bottom line, right? But it's not the panacea to budget solutions. And without forecasting budget solutions, I'm not convinced that the delta on the sale of CT Lewis will have a material impact either way.
Just so we can get some clarification on that, can I refer to the Director of Corporate Support?
Yes, through the CEO, the extent that it would hit the profit and loss result, Councillor, is the extent of the profit on sale or loss on sale, not the extent of the value of the sale of the asset. I don't have those specific figures in front of me. I'm just looking at my CFO. He's putting two fingers up. I think that means $2 million. Yeah, that's only one of.
So,
but for those who, excuse me, Councillor. So basically, for the CEO, for for those who are listening. So whatever the book value is, only whatever is above or below. If it's above, then it has a positive impact on the budget. So subject to what the book value is.
Well, the profit's 100% if it was a gift, zero cost.
I can't. He knows what accounting is. The accounting standard is what it's in the book value is. So just even though it was given, it's been counted for a value in council's balance sheet. So whatever it's in on the balance sheet, that and whatever's above that. You can.
Sorry, through the chair, are you an accountant to verify that for us? Oh, okay. Sorry, I thought you were.
No.
So-
but I can refer to I think we have a CPA here with 2 stars, 2-star general CPA, is what it's called? Or did you get a third one now?
Just wait a second, I'll do it properly. Just want to turn you on.
Just before he answers, we do have to revalue the assets. It's part of the requirements under the audit. You can't just hold assets at book value. They need to be valued and put into an asset realisation reserve. Am I correct in saying that?
Yeah, through the chair, I can answer that. It was revalued in October 25. Through the CFO, if he answer anything more.
Thank you. Through the CEO, yes, you are right, Councillor. Assets are regularly valued, including this property, City Lewis. The gain that will made is based on the current book value that we have in our balance sheet or in our books. So we are in compliance with the accounting standards, and it's been verified by the Audit Office New South Wales. Thank you.
Can we get confirmation of what that sits on the book value? It shouldn't be confidential if it's on the financial statements.
I guess it is commercially sensitive. If you are, as a company, selling assets out to the public, I guess disclosing the book value is probably commercially sensitive.
Yeah, just notwithstanding, through the chair, we're just about to go to an auction. That's probably not smart business.
No. Wait a second. It sits on our balance sheet. Our balance sheet is reported to all the ratepayers. Therefore, it's not confidential.
All right. Is there any other speakers for or against?
Yes, against. Oh.
Yep. Just make sure that the questions are part of your time, Councillor. So.
I've only got one more. Considering that Liverpool has a massive homeless issue, massive, we all know this, that property can actually be used for that purpose. And we all know property doubles in value every 10 years. Has council considered, or through the executive team, looked at that issue of the homeless issue and how we can resolve it? Because everyone's fed up with it. It's an eyesore on our city, but at least this is a solution.
Before I hand over to you, I think the homelessness, from my understanding, is a state issue, Housing New South Wales, but I'll refer to the CEO.
My question.
Yes, through the chair. Sympathetic to the issue. In fact, Homeless used CT Lewis for some time last year. That's part of the reason it's deteriorated. So understand the problem. This is about good council business on an asset that it can't be recovered now due to its deterioration.
Councillor Harrell, Deputy Mayor.
Yes, just a little bit of background to all of this. That land, I'm not sure if that was donated to council. I don't think so. I think it belonged to council in the first place. The CT Lewis Centre was built by the Rotary Club, not by the Lions Club. There's a big Rotary wheel on the building itself. And I'd say, I can't be sure, but I would say the Rotary Club donated the building to council, not the land. Now, several council meetings ago, in probably last term or the term before Phillips Park was built, we were actually looking at the sale of that property, not necessarily the sale, but we were looking at, as someone just pointed out, the homeless situation, we were looking at whether we could build affordable housing on those sites and do some sort of business deal opportunity with, I believe it was Hume Housing or one of those at the time. That's actually in the report that you've got. If you read through that, you will find that that is mentioned. It was also found that it was not economical or viable to do so. And so we're now at this position as to what to do with it. And in that same area, there are at least 3 other similar sized properties that are classified as parks within about 200 metres. In fact, within about 200 metres of that building, on the left-hand side is a park, and there is another park in front of the public school. So when we talk about we don't have enough land, we've actually got a surplus of land in that area, considering that you have Phillips Park itself. So I don't have an issue with selling that property on the basis that the funds are used in that area, as we have said in the past. We need funding to do that. It's not going to come any other way. That building is going to cost it's going to cost us about $800,000 to remove that, according to the report. Then what are we going to build there that is viable? We've had discussions about building a childcare centre there. Well, where are we going to find the multi-million dollars to do that? I just don't think it's viable to do that. So while I am against the sale of income-producing assets, and I have said so in the past, I think this is an opportunity that we can't do anything with it. And if it hasn't been done, and I'm not certain, I've Googled it, I couldn't find who were the original owners, where the C.T. Lewis comes from. You're better than me if you can find that on Google. But I do believe that it was built by the Rotary Club and it was donated to council. Now, I'm guessing that may not be accurate, but I don't have a problem in supporting the sale of this, providing, as we said the last time, any profits go into a fund, into the properties fund that allows deteriorating buildings, such as some of the buildings in Whitlam Park that are in urgent need of repairs. That money is used for those sorts of purposes. Thank you.
Yep. Councillor Carney, speaking for or against?
For the motion to rescind. Two things, fundamentally. There was, I think, once or twice since this council came into office in 2024, the discussion around this asset. There was also a resolution of this council where a report was to come back about the projected use, costs, etc., of what can be done at CT Lewis. Things that were canvassed were I don't know if it was Hume housing, like Deputy Mayor Howell referred to, but that's in the other report in 2020. But it was certainly canvassed at the time, things like TAFE, other organisations, perhaps a costing as to whether or not a council-run daycare would be appropriate, noting the site's history, a whole range of things. Now, in terms of costings and recommendations for us as a council body to vote on, and options in respect of considering its sale, for example, as an option 1, or option 2, convert it into a childcare, but it will cost this and this is when it will kick off, or option 3, perhaps a partnership with Hume Housing and this is when that can kick off and there's an expression of interest that's been lodged, etc., etc. What we've got before us is a resolution to rescind the sale of the asset. Now, whilst I can appreciate that the centre's dilapidated and it's in a rundown state, with respect, it's been left to get to that point. It's not as if it's been any form of actual investment has been put into it. There was a period of time up until the last resolution that we had to actually deploy security and proper fencing around it. And that obviously contributes to the safety risks associated with that. There's that aspect of it. And then the secondary aspect is it's clear that we're one councillor short. And the full body of this council is 11. Now, at the last council meeting that I wasn't at, it was discussed about a by-election for the vacant councillor seat in South Ward. Now, again, what we're doing is we're propositioning a sale of an asset without a full cohort of councillors. There's a rush to sell this asset by the looks of it. Otherwise, it would be a deferral to after that by-election, when there's a full cohort of councillors present, being a democratically elected 11, not 10. Now, CT Lewis, whether or not it was donated, gifted, land gifted, again, that's to be known, not to be known, but it would make the move to sell it a whole lot worse if it was gifted, because it was gifted to the community by the giftor. It's a shame that we don't have that answer today. Nevertheless, it wouldn't change my position because I would be against selling this asset. But it would certainly make the sale of this asset taste a whole lot worse if it was gifted by a resident of the community who devoted his time to the community and said, "Here, council, have this. Use it to prosper future generations." And lo and behold, in 2026, we moved to sell the thing. And it's on that basis that I vote to rescind the sale of CT Lewis.
Thank you. I actually just want to provide some clarification and also speak against the rescission motion. So the report, Councillor Carney, the report that was provided to council on the 10th of December was exactly what you talked about the whole research and everything done after the vote that was held in March 25, which looked at talking to different organisations, being TAFE and housing providers. And then we have the report, and hence what we're voting on. I think it's important that the pictures that within the report that show the state of the facility are made available to the public, and to put it out there to understand what we're dealing with and the potential cost. What I do want to take councillors back to, I don't remember exactly what year, but I vaguely remember it was on 2015 when we were having one of our workshop sessions and a discussion was had about the future of Lernia, the opportunities there, and ultimately the challenges that existed within these sites. And it was a matter of saying, well, they're past their use by date, they're not fit for purpose. The world, it's a different world. As community halls, they have low ceilings. They're not really utilized even in good condition. And the discussion was about, do we spend millions of dollars in just doing it up and making it look like other halls, or do we have a greater ambition for the Lernia community? And there was discussed that yes, we should do some, and that was when we could, rather than fix these buildings, that we would build a brand new one across the road. And it's wonderful to see. I think it was on 2022. We opened up September maybe. We opened up Phillips Park, and what an amazing building that now the Harry Hunt Hall at Phillips Park is. The lift that it's brought to the community, the pride that it's brought to the community, an architecturally stunning building that is anchored the community and has become a meeting point. Not the bottle shop across the road, but now a beautiful place, a great cafe where people line up. People are coming from all over Sydney, lining up in the morning to go to a coffee shop at Lernia to get food. Part of our strategy of creating community hubs, creating great architecture that inspires and motivates, like we have here in this building, like we have across the road, versus the rundown old halls that we just put a lick of paint on and move on and do something else. I think every weekend there's an event there. I think an engagement party just about. It's become very, 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 very popular. Even though we have so many different halls, people want to be at this place at Phillips Park. It is a premier facility, and I think that is what the community wants. There's plenty of capacity left in that. Plenty of capacity, as you can see from our report, so people who do want to hire it, it's meeting the needs. We have a large network of halls, facilities, but what we don't have is amazing architectural, stunning ones like we have at Phillips Park. So I think it was a wonderful decision to not invest in these old facilities, but build a brand new one and show the people of Lernia and that part of Liverpool that they deserve the best and that we will deliver the best. So, is any of the speakers for or against? All right. Would you like to write a reply, Councillor Monaghan? Sorry? No? Okay. I'll put the rescission motion. All those in favour, please raise your hands. Against? I'll declare the motion lost. That be sent.
Division.
Division. All those in favour, please stand. Thanks. Those against? Thank you. I declare the motion lost, and I now declare the meeting officially closed at 7:16 p.m. Thank you, everyone, and happy Lent and Ash Wednesday for those who are marking this solemn time, and happy Ramadan for all of those who are fasting over the next few days. And look forward to seeing everyone at Most Blessed Nights. Thank you.